Bitcoin is one of the only industries that is extremely transparent about its energy usage, which I think makes it an easy target.
What this transparency means is that unlike almost any other industry, we have a pretty good idea of the Bitcoin network's energy use.
Our best guess is around 100 to 150 terawatt hours of electricity per year, and this comes from making an informed guess as to the kinds of machines that are active on the Bitcoin network and their energy consumption. This is an estimate that is relatively uncontroversial. The Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance is generally considered to be the most credible source on this, and that's the range that they're projecting or looking at.
At this point, it's still rounding error, 0.1% of global energy usage.
And yet, Bitcoin's very transparency means this minuscule slice of energy has received disproportionate media attention.
Bitcoin takes enormous amounts of energy to digitally mine.
We have warned at the Financial Times now for many months that cryptocurrency is filthy.
It costs a lot in terms of energy. Probably a small country is the total usage.
It is projected to consume as much energy as all the data centers in the whole world this year.
But judging by precedent, using a great deal of energy is in itself not a crime. The cruise ship industry uses 250 terawatt hours a year, more than twice the energy of the Bitcoin network. And as far back as 2016, the online advertising industry was already using around 106 terawatt hours, a huge amount of which was spam. And in Americans' own households, always-on devices use 1,375 terawatt hours a year, 12.1 times that of Bitcoin's consumption, expended for the convenience of having a thing respond instantly, rather than after a few seconds.
Some might say Christmas lights are a terrible use of energy. Christmas lights in the United States alone consume more power than the entirety of the Bitcoin network, yet we don't have an energy police that's banning the use of Christmas lights because people are willing to pay to use electricity in that way.
The implication is that the value of the Bitcoin network must be less than luxury cruises, Christmas lights, or a nation of Alexas listening in for our next command. But even if Bitcoin's social value does rival that of Christmas lights, why make miners burn energy to earn Bitcoin? Why should a digital currency have to use up any physical resources at all? For the answer, we need to return to the shell belts of the Native Americans, to gold.
A layer of rich ore which produces 8 million ounces of gold a year.
And to the carved rhinestones of Micronesia. Bitcoin is part of a rich history of currencies that have embedded proof of energy, proof of work done over time, as a strategy to secure their value.
Bitcoin actually approximates what money always was in a better way than just about any other type of money that humans have ever found. It's essentially a ledger system combined with this proof of work element.
Wampum could only be created by spending time and energy, and that effort was proof of the value it had to its makers. In the same way, Bitcoin is rewarded only when a miner can prove that they have done a certain amount of work. This requires electricity. Embedded in each Bitcoin, like a bar of gold or a string of shells, is proof that this work was done. No state or authority has ever instructed or forced anyone to mine Bitcoin. Mining is an activity carried out by individuals in response to the organic emerging demand for Bitcoin.
Every day, tens of thousands of people are choosing, and the critical word here is choosing, to join the Bitcoin network, to engage in the Bitcoin economy. And I think that's where the energy use arguments become really spurious and difficult to follow.
Bitcoin is not a corporation. There's no top-level organization deciding how much energy the Bitcoin network should use. Instead, it's this quilt of millions of decisions by millions of actors in the ecosystem. And so really, it's the miners are following what the market's doing in terms of millions of people wanting to use Bitcoin for a variety of different purposes, whether it's storing value, whether it's making payments. And so miners are adapting to that market demand constantly.
There are a group of people around the world who have decided that for them, Bitcoin has value. That's subjective, that's not objective. So attempts to qualify or quantify that feeling people have, I think, is a fool's errand.
Why then criticize Bitcoin's energy use and not that of other currencies? Perhaps, again, because Bitcoin has such a transparent and direct relationship with energy. Gold, shells, and carved stones each require several stages of human and mechanical processing to render them as money. Bitcoin mining requires electricity, processors, and code. And of those, electricity is more or less the only factor miners can exploit to increase the amount of Bitcoin they earn. The image of thousands of Bitcoin miners wasting energy is far less romantic than that of native women preparing shell belts or miners going west in search of fortune.
When the gold shines and glitters like that, struck it, Kurt.
Perhaps it's even anti-romantic, but at root it's the same proof of work, scaling up in real time to meet the demands of an emergent market distributed across the entire world and made possible by the internet.
What essentially Bitcoin is a currency of energy. Work put into the blockchain is the arbiter of truth.
Why is gold worth some $20 an ounce?
I don't know, because it's scarce.
1,000 men say go searching for gold. After 6 months, one of them's lucky. 1 out of 1,000. His find represents not only his own labor, but that of 999 others to boot. That's 6,000 months or 500 years, scrabbling over mountains, going hungry and thirsty. An ounce of gold, mister, is worth what it is because of the human labor that went into the finding and the getting of it.
Never thought of it just like that.
Well, there's no other explanation, mister. Gold itself ain't good for nothing except for making jewelry with gold teeth.